I'm very, very happy to say that it was a full house, which in that kind of open air once again. Not every show works in the open air. I think that the show that Mohit has created, the production of Love and Information, just looked stunning.
Welcome to This Week at the NCPA. And one of our fairly regulars, if I could call him that, Bruce Guthrie, head theatre and films at the NCPA, joins me. There's a lot to discuss. NCPA's theatrical productions are now going beyond the campus to other cities in India and abroad. And obviously, all the hard work and the effort that Bruce and the team have put in have come to fruition. And these talented performers and their crew are conquering new lands. Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. A little bit jet lagged, but that's all good.
Yeah, and all for the love of theatre. And this must really, really make you very, very happy. Plays that travel well means they resonate well with different genres of people, irrespective of age and culture and background. If a story and its production on stage appeals to their inner being, you've got a winner on your hands. So how do you view all these plays fundamentally coming out of India, going and conquering new lands and territories?
Well, I think it's a good start. I think that the run of Gentlemen's Club in London at the Soho Theatre has been a really, really positive start. The group did 3 performances of the show at the NCPA before we went to London. And then it was essentially, they finished the show on the Saturday night, packed down, and then we were all on a plane together the next morning heading to London. No rest for the wicked, and on Monday they were in doing the fit up, and then they did the first performance on the Tuesday, and they had 11 performances in total and played to pretty packed houses the entire way through, and got 5-star reviews and 4-star reviews across the board, which was incredible. The response has been really positive. The audience was a real mix of diaspora and people who are theatre goers who were just curious to see a story by an Indian company that was an original story, and they really were not disappointed at all. I watched most of the performances, being the good producer that I am, hopefully, and the group, the Patchworks Ensemble, who created Gentlemen's Club and for whom we were presenting with the Soho Theatre, were just astonishing. They just worked their tails off every single day. And that every audience was completely different, and they responded to that beautifully. So we're very proud to have been associated with the show, and hope that it will go on to have a future life in the UK. Hopefully we will take it back, and then beyond as well, because I think the work is so good and it really resonates with the audience. It's so lovely, Hrishi, to see a show which is really positive and just fun, and it exudes that kind of enthusiasm and joy. And the audiences, whether they know Bollywood or not, whether they know who the people that are being portrayed are or not, they connect with it. And it was really heartening to see that a show like Gentlemen's Club can have that kind of impact on the UK audience.
What astonishes me, and you know now because you've lived in India for a fair bit, is that how, despite us being a country of diverse languages, how a theatrical production in a language like Marathi can gain popularity even outside the state of Maharashtra, where Marathi is predominantly spoken. And I believe Kalgitura, the Marathi play, has traveled to Pune, which is great, which is part of Maharashtra. The Punekars also speak Marathi, but has gone as far as Delhi, and also had successful runs there. And this is theatre. This is not the land of subtitled television. So I find that pretty astonishing. That means people, despite not knowing the language, are finding the blocking and are investing in the characters and the performances and the overall aura of the theatrical experience.
Well, I think Kalgitura is a very special production as well. There's a reason that it's done as well as it has, and it's won the awards that it has. I mean, Datta Patel, who's the writer, and Sachin Shinde, who's the director, are a really amazing unit, and that they've done several plays together. And it just keeps going and resonating with audiences. And the Marathi-speaking population do come out for it, but then when they come out for it, the comments that we get back about how traditional and how it's the kind of, the type of Marathi that gets spoken in the villages, and that people really connect with that. It feels deeply authentic and rustic because it is deeply authentic. And that's one of the great things about the DARPAN initiative, which we're in year 3 of now at the NCPA. We've just had more than 100 entries in this year's version of DARPAN, which is a new writing initiative in Marathi, where Marathi playwrights submit their scripts and they get reviewed by a panel of mentors, some of whom are incredibly well established and respected in the Marathi theatre community. And then we whittle it down to a short list of 4 plays, and then 1 play gets selected to be produced by the NCPA. And Kalgitura was the first one of that. And it's really beautiful to see people and their reactions again to something which obviously holds a deep resonance, a personal resonance for them. But equally, audiences who don't get to see that kind of work coming out because they're really curious about it. And the music and the subject matter of Kalgitura is something that really touches people. And once again, it's about a subject matter which could be quite, a difficult subject matter for people to deal with, people passing away and that being sung to as a means of kind of like almost like a therapy for those who are left behind. But it's so beautiful and such a celebration of a deeply rooted Maharashtrian tradition. So for me, as somebody who's come in from outside of India and working at a place like NCPA, these are the kind of stories that I've come here to find.
NCPA, the park, started and had successful runs across several parks in Mumbai city. And you took it to Bangalore this March. And I had a few people from Radio 1 in Bengaluru, our Bangalore office, who went there. And again, they were extremely happy to see the crowds turn out in large numbers in the Garden City, supporting a variety of performances, not just theatrical pieces, but dances, a bit of comedy and things like that. And this is really taking the performing arts away from confined stages and confined spaces to go and perform amidst Mother Nature, right, Bruce?
I've got to say it's an awesome initiative, the park, and NCPA at the park being a kind of gift to what was a gift to the city when it first started, right at the end of the when we start to go back to 100% capacity in auditoriums in March of 2022. It's become this phenomenon now that people are talking about and that they look forward to here in Mumbai, but that now, having done Bangalore, as you say, it was so fantastic. And in every park has got its own aesthetic, its own unique aesthetic, and we tried to capture the character of it, so we frame the performances. So it's not just a case of, it's a performance in a theatre, it's a performance in a unique space, and a beautiful space at that as well. And at Freedom Park, a place which has such significance in Bangalore, it was quite something to witness. And particularly the dance program. I mean, all the programs are really good and of high quality, but the dance program looked incredible in that setting with the beautiful lights and the surroundings. So each of the park events, when people come to them, and the atmosphere that we kind of captured there is just so terrific. So we're looking forward to another season of that happening during the months of November, going into sort of like early March here in Mumbai, but also further afield as well.
Now, Love and Information, which is the play by the genius Mohit Takalkar. A lot of people view him as the pioneer in the new wave theatre movement in India. And you're no stranger to Mohit's work. I believe Love and Information made its debut in Delhi at the KNMA festival last week. How well was it received in Delhi, and how did audiences there take to Love and Information?
Well, I'm very, very happy to say that it was a full house, which, in that kind of open air, once again, not every show works in the open air. But I think that the show that Mohit has created, the production of Love and Information, just looked stunning. I mean, we had that incredible full moon as well, which rose, and that luckily the clouds kind of parted at the right time. That was kind of a theatrical event in itself. But the production went down incredibly well, and because it is so, it's very much kind of theatre for the reals generation, as we've kind of titled it. It's all these short snippets of stories and flashes of people's lives and moments of kind of like deeply concentrated emotion and flavors of story and temperature and all those different things. And the audience were really gripped, and that was them sitting outside for 2 hours, no interval, and that they were really transfixed by the production. We're very proud of it, and I think that Mohit, as you say, is an incredible director and a real master of taking different types of art and putting them together in a way which is deeply interesting. It's not linear in terms of its storytelling, which makes it a little bit more challenging for people who come to the theatre for a good story. But for people who come to the theatre for an experience and to be able to look inward as well as outward, it's a terrific show.
Well, all of you who are aficionados or people who love screenings at the NCPA, there's lots on offer in November. An NCPA presentation in collaboration with White Wall Screenings sees the Little Theatre come alive on the 7th of November, which is Thursday, 6:30 p.m. onwards. And there are 3 short films, roughly 15 to 21 minutes, that are going to be playing. And then, of course, Bruce, I'd like you to talk about this, the National Theatre live presentations, encore theatre screenings. And I believe November 13th, you have a Noel Coward play, Present Laughter, which you're going to be streaming. It's a provocative comedy, and this is a new way of watching theatre.
Yeah, I mean the quality of the National Theatre Live productions. I mean, this one was actually filmed at the Old Vic Theatre. So Andrew Scott, who people will know from things like Fleabag, and he's become a real international star now, is playing the lead in Present Laughter. Once again, very kind of like a great update of that classic comedy. And I've seen it. I actually saw it in person, but I've also seen the NT Live version of it as well, and it's deeply funny. It's really, really good. And just to talk a bit about the other screenings as well, the short film corners and White Wall screenings that we have are just fantastic for anybody who's interested in films and interested in documentary making. We do regular free screenings here at the NCPA, which people can register for. And usually is that it will be the director who will show up, or someone associated with the film will show up, and there will be a talk as well and an audience Q&A with each of these. So these are real events for film lovers, and they're free. So it's always my favourite price. And hopefully, more and more people, they usually fill up. So we ask people to turn up a little bit early because they're usually completely packed. But for people who don't know about them, come to the NCPA and try them out, because they're really quite something.
Well, allow me to speak about Bruce's play. Bruce directs Constellations, and it returns in the month of December. In fact, in the first week of December 5th, 6th and 7th and 8th. I have seen it. It's an absolute must-watch. The story of Marianne and Roland. When I think back of it, it's really spectacular. Ahana Kumra and Kunal Roy Kapur, they star in it, and that's going to be back. Keep your eyes and ears out for that one. And it's a Nick Payne play, which Bruce and the cast have done complete justice to. So that's coming back in. Also, I like the fact that you're throwing in a fair bit of comedy to mix it all up. The Lord knows we need to laugh more in this country, and it's nice to see people of the lady comedians like Anu Menon. You had Jamie Lever performing this week. You have Anu Menon doing Anne Cool, which is a play on her name, and you also have a fair share of improv comedy, which is the medium-sized improv show with these guys who are usual suspects. I mean, Neville Barucha and Shantanu do stuff with you guys all year through.
Yeah, I mean, comedy's been a big hit here at the NCPA, and we do it regularly. I mean, Jamie's going to sell out. It's so if you haven't got your tickets, then do get them, because it promises to be a really wonderful evening of entertainment. And I think it's a 2.5 hour evening of a marathon of just laughs, and she's immensely popular. So looking forward to that. And the improv is brilliant. It's such a fun evening. We had the first of our improv shows with Neville and his gang about 2 months ago, and I snuck in at the back to watch it. I thought I was going to maybe stay for about 15 minutes because we usually have quite a lot of things going on. I stayed for the whole thing. So it's very silly, but very, very funny. So yeah, and as you said, it's great to laugh, and I think that we're in the festive period as well. It's good to have a nice balance of things like Constellations, which is a well-known play, 12 Angry Jurors, which is coming up, which is going to be sold out this weekend as well, but also the comedy. So we're bringing the laughs by the barrel load as well.
I like the idea of Kunal Roy Kapur and Anuvab Paul. Anuvab is another.
I don't know that I like the idea of that, but yeah, okay.
I like the idea of them sitting down and actually doing a live podcast. It's almost as if they were in the confines of a studio, except that it isn't a studio. It's a live paying audience that comes in there to laugh or not laugh at their ridiculous jokes. And that's happening mid-December at the Experimental Theatre. They call it the week that wasn't, and and Anuvab Paul himself has a show called The Nation Wants to Show, and we've already seen Kunal Roy Kapur's acting chops. He's also a funny bloke, so this should be fun. A comedy podcast, our last week live. What do you think of that?
Well, the Experimental Theatre lives up to its name because this is a big experiment for us, and I think it is for them too. But it's an award-winning podcast, as they like to remind me of every time that they see me. They're just great. They're just so funny, and their chemistry together is brilliant. So to be able to record a podcast like that with a live audience as well. I mean, we all know how popular podcasts are now, and that they're a lot of people's go-to, except for the radio, of course, and yourself. But they're a lot of people's go-to for their kind of for their listening diet, if you like. So these guys, just two very funny people that will do a brilliant job, and I'm excited to see what happens when that audience is there.
One thing I do want to talk about is spoken word. You have the Aniray's winter lineup, Simar Singh, doing some poetry. We know that Priya Malik's shows managed to sell out. She does some amazing poetry again in Hindi and Urdu. And you also have Dastan Goi Gujarati, which is storytelling in Gujarati, which I think is pretty exciting, which is an offstage presentation, of course. So the spoken word and how important storytelling and poetry reading is for you at the NCPA.
Again, it's all part of theatre, isn't it? It's not necessarily a play, but it's theatrical, and because it's performance-based. And most of the great playwrights, and songwriters are poets or described as poets. And spoken word is something that has just, exploded. I mean, Commune do such a wonderful job with Spoken Fest, and we work with them on quite a regular basis as well. So we're hoping that they'll be back soon at NCPA. But Annie Ray's has been something of a triumph, actually, and that what Simar has done since he founded that company. I think he was at 18 when he founded it. He might have been 16 when he founded it, and has built this huge online following. And what's better is that the content is absolutely fantastic, deeply personal, and very much an array of people, but that predominantly young people expressing their views about the world through poetry and through spoken word, and sometimes through music, beautifully underscored. It's a really charming evening. And that with Aniray's as well is that they've just come back from the Prague Festival, where they won all sorts of awards while they were there. So once again, an Indian company going out into the international field and absolutely, doing a wonderful job, being proven to be incredibly popular, and taking a form which is specific to here abroad and making it resonate with audiences. It's really quite terrific.
Just a couple of things more to discuss, but do go to Book My Show, check out the listings, ncpamumbai.com, which is another fabulous place to go and check out all the listings. A lot of these plays and these performances are supported by Bajaj Beyond, so we doff our hat to our sponsors at the NCPA. Corporate sponsorship is so important for the arts, and it's wonderful that good people at Bajaj Beyond give a fair share of their support. The Mime musical, this is November the 24th on Sunday, an NCPA presentation in collaboration with Curtain Call Production and Bharati Arts. That's nice. I haven't seen some mime in a while. And this is called Click. It is produced by Nikhil Kale and it's written and directed by Vipul Kale. What can you tell us about mime music?
I think that at first glance, people might think that it's a comedy. But when you read the subject matter, it is not. So what I would say to people is that don't expect clown, don't expect, kind of like a pastiche of mime. It's mime. And I think that's what's so interesting about it is that, it's a craft that is often parodied, but when it's done well, it's fantastic. So we're really looking forward to having it. Once again, it's a bit of an experiment for us, but that it's a great company. I think it's going to be a really great show, but that it's not something that you should come along for expecting to kind of like to be rolling in the aisles. That's what you come to Jamie Lever for. That's what you come to the other stand-up comedy for. Is that I think that with this one is that for those who are interested in physical theatre, that are interested in different types of storytelling, this is bang on point for you.
I think a nice way to sign off would be Benedict Cumberbatch, the Benedict Cumberbatch. Call him Holmes, call him anything, but this man has gripped the imagination of an entire planet. And the NCPA National Theatre live presentations we were just talking about has at the Guthrie Dance Theatre on Wednesday, the 15th of January, 6 p.m. Hamlet. I wonder if you've seen this particular production of Hamlet in which Benedict Cumberbatch plays the principal role.
Yes. I've got to say that I have. It's just that this was the production that was on at the Barbican some years ago. And it's really very, striking in its interpretation of it. He's one of the great actors of his generation, Benedict, and, incredibly versatile. And Hamlet's one of those roles that's a real rite of passage for any actor. Is that it's rarely the case is that you will say, oh, well, I'm going to go and see Hamlet. I'm going to go and see Benedict Cumberbatch's Hamlet, or I'm going to go and see Michael Sheen's Hamlet, or I'm going to go and see Rory Kinnear's Hamlet, or whoever it might be, Tom Hiddleston's Hamlet, whoever that might be. But with this one is that I think that it was the right creative team at the right time. It is beautiful to look at. And it's not just for people who are studying Hamlet, because we often think of Shakespeare as being quite heavy and academic and all those kind of things. But when it's done right, it's just amazing and deals with big topics and big ideas. And it's exciting, it's kinetic, and the time just whizzes by. And I think that audiences are really going to enjoy it. And if you're a Benedict Cumberbatch fan, or whether you're not, is that it's great to be able to come and enjoy one of the great plays, one of the greatest plays ever written, as most people think. And come and join us at the NCPA.
Bruce Guthrie, thanks a lot. It's been a while since we did one of these in-depth sessions on all the wonderful work that you and the team at the NCPA are doing in the theatre, comedy, spoken word department. Thanks very much for your time, and see you soon.
Always a pleasure.
94.3 Radio 1.